Yeah, I'm starting. I'd like to say hello to everyone out there. Tonight is Tuesday, April the 5th. You're watching Amateur Radio Roundtable. It's a webcast for ham radio and shortwave listeners. We're also on a famous international shortwave station, The Planet Tonight, WBCQ, on 5130 kilohertz. So if you're listening on shortwave, maybe you send us a signal report to Tom at W5KUB.com. Tom at W5KUB.com. We'd love to hear from you where you are. See if our friend down in Costa Rica is listening tonight. If you're on shortwave tonight listening, we would like to invite you to tune in on the webcast at W5KUB.com, and you'll be able to see the video, and you can check in the chat room and see what's going on, and just join us there. So we're gonna have a great show tonight. It's our third show in 3 weeks with Herd Island, and each week we make it better. And I've got them on the line right now, and it's looking good down there. I've got Bill Mitchell, AE0EE, with us. So let me see if I can bring Bill in, all the way from Herd Island. So let's see. There you go, Bill. How you doing tonight? Or it's morning for you. Bill, can you hear me? Bill, I think your microphone's not hooked up.
Yep. I'll even turn my microphone on.
All right, very good. I know it was working pre-show, but yep. Always we get some kind of problem there. You know, I was talking to you a minute ago. I liked your other hat better. You had your little light on your head up there, and it kind of looked like you were down in a coal mine somewhere. It was dark in there, and hey, you peeled off some clothing. You don't look as cold as you did earlier. So how's it going down here? I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Yeah, it's going pretty well down here. We've got a fairly warm tent. This morning it's warm even outside, at least as Herd Island goes. It's about 43 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 6 degrees Celsius. We've got cloudy skies, but the sun should be up fairly soon, and that should mean I can take you outside for a little tour of Herd Island.
Well, we're hoping for that. We're hoping that the sun will come on up here in a minute, because I've been telling Dr. Bob and everybody, I've been talking for like 6, 7, 8 months and saying, man, I want to see you. I want to see the volcano back there, and I want to see the penguins walking around. But I know it's not possible sometimes. Now, you guys have had some pretty tough weather there. I know the winds have been up to almost 70 miles an hour several days. And have you had some snow and rain?
We had a dusting of snow one day, and we get drizzle pretty much every day. There was a little bit of rain earlier this morning. The winds haven't been too bad today. The weather station this morning was saying we had winds about 15 to 20 miles an hour. So there's some wind, but it's actually pretty nice out there today.
Well, tell me, how does that, has the weather been a factor? I know you guys are wanting to do the Spit Bay location. Has the weather caused any problems in trying to do that?
The weather has been one significant challenge in trying to do that. The weather openings here where things are good enough, conditions are good enough to land a small boat, we have to land by sea. We have no helicopter to get us on the island. And the wave conditions here in the Southern Ocean can be pretty intense a lot of the time. There's no good protected harbor at Spit Bay, and so it would be a huge, we could send operators to Spit Bay, but they may spend a day or 2 or 3 waiting for a good weather opening to actually land there at Spit Bay.
Well, I know that.
So we decided that it was just not worth it to take away from the operation here at our main camp at Atlas Cove.
And I know you got some nice tents there that you're in. If you did open up Spit Bay, would you have the same type tent, or would they have something a little more inferior than that?
At Spit Bay, we would have a smaller tent by HDT that would be coming with us. But also at Spit Bay, the Australian Antarctic Division, who sort of manages this island, they have a refuge there, which is available for our use as long as it's in good condition and as long as we have a tent of our own to use as a backup. But those are actually converted fiberglass water tanks that they've cut a door into and put some insulation into.
Oh yeah, I've looked at those pictures that are on the site.
Not comfortable.
Yeah, I've looked at those pictures. So, you know, I did my share of camping out in the military and you know, on deployments in some pretty bad places, but I've got to hand it to you guys. It takes a lot to do what you guys are doing. I mean, everything from getting there to getting ashore to getting the equipment in, the bad winds. I read on your site the other night that the wind was blowing so hard and was hitting your tent so hard that some of you guys actually had to put earplugs in your ears, and you crawled in your sleeping bag and tried to sleep during that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The wind can really howl around here, and there were times when you'd curl up and just hope that the tent wasn't going to blow away. But they've actually done very well. We're still here, and we're having a good time. We've got 3 or 4 stations on the air behind me right now.
Well, that's great. I was fortunate to work you guys on 30 meters a few days ago. I'm not a big DXer. Well, I work a lot of DX, but I've never really chased a lot of DX or worked a lot of Dxpeditions. But you know, since we've been having you guys on the show, I wanted to try to talk to you guys, and we were successful on 30 meters the other night to talk to you. And after our interview here, we're going to talk a little more about Hurt Island for all of our viewers. And we're going to talk about, you know, the simple antenna that I built and use, you know, to work Hurt Island, because a lot of people may not think they have an antenna that'll work, but it doesn't take much. Anyway, talk to us a little about the propagation and everything down here. I've been watching DXA, and it looks like, and also reading your website, sometimes it's pretty much like the band has been dead, but then there are other times that it just perks up.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. There are sometimes, some mornings where we can hop on the air right around sunrise, and you know, 30-meter Morse code will be just totally packed with signals. Many of them from the U.S. and Canada and in the Americas. Other times, you know, 2 days later, we might get on and make 5 or 10 contacts in a 4-hour shift, or in a couple of hours, and then decide to move to some other band. And so down here, we're very dependent on the propagation. And some days it's good, and other times it's not that good. The geomagnetic storm that hit us this weekend came pretty close to knocking us offline. And in fact, those who were paying attention to DXA on dxa.vk0ek.org may have noticed that sometimes if our stations aren't making contacts with anyone, they won't even show up as that station being on the air. There were stations, quite a few stations on the air this weekend. We were calling and just were not getting any responses on a lot of the bands a lot of the time. But other times it opens up wonderfully, and on 15-meter radio teletype earlier this week, I had the wonderful experience of getting on there and having a pileup that was 10 or 15 kilohertz wide and just a solid wall of signals. It was hard to get a decode because there were just so many and they were so strong that I just couldn't get anything to decode. But that was a fun feeling to have.
Well, I would imagine that'd be tough with the RTTY signals and all of them piling up there. It would be difficult to get a lock on those. I'm an old teletype guy myself. In fact, I repaired teletypes in the Air Force and ran teletype a long time as a ham, but I haven't been on it a long time on teletype. But you know, even on CW, when I hear you guys, well, actually, I was not hearing you guys, but I knew I was following you. I knew what frequencies you were on, and I could hear everyone else calling you. Now, I assumed they were hearing you, but people would call you, and that's how I worked you guys. I said, well, if everybody else is calling, I'm just going to call a couple times, and I threw my call in there a few times, and then you know, everybody kind of paused and listened. Then I was so surprised, VK0EK came back to my call, and that's the first time I ever heard you guys in 10 days, but you were there, and obviously a lot of other people were hearing you.
Yeah, we've been there. There have been a number of stations who, are only marginally hear us, and we've been trying to work even with those marginal signals because we know that people really need this one, particularly since our software lets us know if we're coming back to a call sign that isn't in our log yet. If we see that, we're particularly excited and trying to keep getting those into the log because we'd really like to get everybody that we can into the log here from Bird Island.
Well, that's great.
So
it's
great
really
fun feeling for us.
Yeah, it's great that it works that way because it allows you to zero in on areas where no one has worked you, and it kind of spreads your signal around to all those different areas. It gives a lot of people a choice there. So, okay, you got how many days you have left? You probably got less than a week left, don't you?
Yeah, we have maybe about 4 or 4.5 days left here, and which is a bit of a surprise to me. It's gone so fast. I feel like we just got here. And there's still so much to do and so many stations yet to work. But we're gonna do what we can with the time that we have remaining. Unfortunately, we may have to start taking antennas down, of course, before the final day, because who knows what the weather will be like.
Well, that's yeah.
We were fortunate to have just perfect weather for putting things up. It was not raining, it was not terribly windy, and we managed to get things up while we were still pretty dry and pretty comfortable. And there have been some days here as we're refueling the generators and checking things at camp that we're quite happy to just hole up in the tent and not do a whole lot other than work all the stations we can on the radio.
Yeah, let me.
Looks like we've got a nice day out there today.
Yeah, let me make just a little announcement here. We have people listening on shortwave around the world. They may not know what we're talking about here. I'm talking with Bill Mitchell, AE0EE. That's his ham radio call. And he is a member on a Dxpedition. It's like an expedition, but hams call it Dxpedition. And he is on an island called Heard Island, and that is very, very much down to the southern end of the world. I think it's about maybe 1,000 miles or so from the South Pole. They left Cape Town, Africa, on a boat, the Braveheart, and it was supposed to take 10 days to get to the island, and it actually took them 12 days to get there. They traveled for 12 days in this boat. Maybe I should call it a ship. I don't want to upset the crew. They traveled for 12 days in this ship. And I think some of the seas were maybe 20-foot waves, and that's not a large ship. I've looked at it, and I've been on ships before, and I was just wondering, after 12 days, how did you guys make that trip down to this little remote, one of the most remote islands in the world? Did anybody get a little queasy or seasick?
Yeah, the first day, or 2 days, a lot of us were in rough shape. But after we got a day or two out of Cape Town, we had, for the most part, pretty good weather on the way down, and so it got to be quite comfortable. We got our sea legs to us, and so that it was actually not too bad. There were times when you would be rolling from 20 or 30 degrees one way, and then you'd go back the other way pretty quickly, and that could get interesting, man. Especially at mealtime. You definitely have to hold onto your plate.
So let me ask you a question. When that ship was moving, like you gave an example, over this way and then back over this way, I mean, you're out thousands of miles from nobody. I mean, there's no help around. You're out there all by yourself. You're a little cork bobbing up and down in the ocean out there in a very remote part of the world. Did you ever get concerned that, were you ever worried about the thing making it, or did you have confidence it was going to make it?
I had confidence that we were going to make it. There was of course a little bit of concern, and I'm sure that my mother had quite a lot of bit of concern. But the crew all seemed pretty confident about the voyage, and they've been doing this for quite a while, and I haven't. I'm in Minnesota. I don't do this a whole lot.
Yeah.
So I figured that they knew what they were doing, and the ship was handled pretty well so far. And I'm hoping we get more of that nice weather on our return to Australia.
Oh yeah, and just thinking, I don't know how long the Braveheart is, but let's say it's 150. Do you know how long it is?
It's about
300?
Yeah, it's 39 meters.
Okay.
39 meters, or about 120 feet.
Okay, so here you are out there in 20-foot waves, and you're in a 300-foot ship, and if it went down, you'd probably be in a 15-foot lifeboat. That'd even be worse, wouldn't it?
Yeah. The life rafts are not very big.
Yeah. Hey, I got a couple of questions in the chat room. One person, let's see, K0MD, wanted to know when would be the best time of the day to work you guys. I'm assuming that it's probably during the gray line. That's when I saw most of the signals coming to the U.S. is when it was dark, when it was just starting to be morning there and starting to be night here. Does the gray line help get that propagation over here?
Absolutely. So we've been finding that most of our contacts with the U.S. come within sort of a few-hour window right around sunrise and sunset at either end. They're pretty much opposite. So right now is one of our big openings to the U.S. So there are operators behind me that are on the air, so you might go catch them there. But some days it's even been open for 3 or 4 hours to the U.S. Other days we get maybe a 15-minute opening, a few stations come in, and that's all we have. So right around now, so evenings North America, and then early in the morning are the two good times to do it. If you're looking for us midday, you almost certainly won't find us.
Okay, well, we've got several questions going on in the chat room, but it appears that you've got a lot of support group here in the U.S. that's answering their questions. So we've got Herd Island coordinators or whatever you want to call them. I think they're in the chat room and helping us here.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It's been wonderful for us having a group of support staff at Mission Control back in California who've been helping to answer questions and deal with problems that come up and communicating then with us about what's going on. That's been a huge help. And big thanks to Rich, KY6R, and the Diablo DXers for doing all of that.
Oh, yeah. Now, N2WB is telling everybody in the chat room right now that Heard Island is coming in to Florida on 80 meters right now. So, yeah, it looks like you're on 35, 34, maybe you're somewhere in that area. But anyway, that's pretty good. I didn't suspect that I'd be able to work you guys on 80. I elected to try to go to some of the higher bands.
Yeah, at the moment we have a station on 80 meters at 35, 34, and a few other stations were on 160 meters for anyone who wants to try us on 160 meters right now. We're on 1815 or 1818.5, and one or two other places as well. We're probably on 40 and 30.
Have you made any 160 meter contacts with the U.S.?
We have. In fact, we have made 215 contacts with North American stations on 160 meters.
Okay, cool.
Out of 2,750.
Wild Bill N2WB said hello to you. He must know you. I don't know if you know Wild Bill or not.
No?
Okay, let's see. Now the Braveheart is anchored offshore there, and I think they're helping to feed you guys. And I was just talking to Kathy the other night and thinking, this trip is 20, 30 days, when you count the ship and everything in here. They've got to carry 30 days worth of food for probably, 30 people total?
Yeah, we have 20 of us on board, and yeah, we have to bring, 30 days worth of food, more than that, probably 40 days worth of food, just that we intend to actually eat. Plus, we have to have some safety margin in addition to that.
Sure.
Because we don't want to end up, 2 days short coming into Perth.
Oh, yeah. Hey, tell us a question. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sure.
Question is, what do your meals consist of? What kind of meals are you guys having down here? Are you having any steaks or hamburgers?
We have not had any hamburgers, so I'm told that sometime soon somebody needs to fire up the propane grill outside, and we're going to have some sausages and other tubular meats and maybe some hamburgers. But bread is pretty hard to come by down here. So we're doing a lot of things. Dinner last night was chili over some rice. We've been having spaghetti bolognese. We've actually been eating very, very well. Charlie, the cook on the Braveheart, has been doing spectacularly. He feeds us all kinds of wonderful things. It's been great having him. The nice thing about having the ship nearby here is that they'll come over once a day to help us resupply, and they'll bring a big kettle of soup or a big pan of macaroni and cheese or lasagna. They'll bring lunch and dinner, and we have a microwave and a crock pot here on the island that we can use to reheat things as necessary. And yeah, we've been eating very well. Though the fresh fruit is awful out on the island, and I think they're running pretty low on that even on the ship as well.
So do you guys have any great foods like popcorn or anything like that?
We don't have a lot of that. We did bring quite a bit of things like trail mix and granola bars, chocolate bars, things that will keep well and that are fairly dense. We were strongly advised not to bring potato chips just because they're in such a large bag that we just don't have space to
Right.
to put all of that anywhere.
Well, that's why you need to bring Pringles. Okay, let's see a question. They're asking about Spit Bay again. Has it actually been taken out of the plan? Talk to us just a little about the Spit Bay, and it's getting late in the game now, so it sounds like you're probably not going to do it.
Yeah, so we can definitely say there will be no radio operation from Spit Bay. We have a core team of about 12 operators here, and that gives us 3 shifts of 4 operators, plus a little bit of extra. We have room for more stations if people want to operate more than that. If we were to send a few operators to Spit Bay, that would mean that we would have fewer operators, of course, here at Atlas Cove, where we already have some pretty big antennas set up. The other thing is that it takes a few hours to get to Spit Bay, but once you get there, you still have to wait for the weather to clear enough during the day to be able to land on shore, because all the landings have to be by a little Zodiac or a little landing boat. And around here, the weather openings may be very short, and they may not be there for a day or two. And so sending 2 operators to go there, and they might be off the air for a day, 2 days. They'll have to set up antennas, set up radios, set up the satellite communications. Then they get to operate the radio for a while. Then they have to do the whole process in reverse. It didn't make sense to do that. And there's risk involved with that landing. The waters are uncharted, or they have been charted, but not recently, and so it's tricky for the ship and the ship's captain to maneuver in that area. So it wasn't feasible for us to do that operation as we'd planned. And I and the other operators are really we're as sad as the rest of you that there's no operation from Spit, because we were all really looking forward to going, but we might have the Braveheart take us past there on our way out, so that we can at least see that end of the island, or get a chance to see that. That's a really neat place down there, and that's where one of the glaciers has retreated from calving into the sea in 1947 to now being about 4 kilometers inland, leaving a big lagoon there.
Well, we know you guys wanted to do Spit Bay, and we know that would have been it would have favored the U.S. contacts a lot more. But there are still a lot of people making contacts with you from the U.S. Maine just on the chat room, Maine just said you guys are booming in on 160 in Maine. You're booming in with a 599 signal on 80 meters into Maine. That's some good reports.
Yeah, and that was another thing that factored into our decision, was that from here we've still been doing quite well toward North America and toward the West Coast. And so with that good propagation, it's unlike, how much better propagation are we going to have from the other side of the mountain? Well, we might get a bit, but the propagation is still only there during those short windows near the gray line, typically.
Right.
And so it seems to make more sense to us here on the ground for a lot of reasons to leave our full complement of operators here at Atlas Coves, have everything set up, and just work as many people as we can from here.
The question is, are you guys going to be at Dayton, or any part of your organization going to be at the Dayton Hamvention this year? Maybe even give a presentation.
I will have a presence at Dayton. We'll certainly be part of the presentations at the Visalia DX conference coming up on April 15th through 17th. I think our big day is the 16th. And maybe a few other places. But yes, we are likely to be doing presentations at Dayton and at other major events.
Well, that's great. We hope you and all the guys come by our booth there and see us, and wave at all your viewers. You got a lot of people been following you on our webcast the last 3 weeks, so be sure to come by our booth there and say hello, and let us see some real heroes when you come up here. Okay?
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm hoping to get there. I don't know yet if it'll happen, but I'd like to go. And some of this is that I'm relatively new to amateur radio. I've only been doing this for a little over 3 years here, and so it's been quite an adventure trying to get ready for this expedition by participating in a lot of contests, doing a lot of radio in the last year or two, and then coming here and seeing what a different experience it is, calling and having, thousands of people all coming back to you all at once. That's been quite a rush.
You're really doing some things. Just being a ham for 3 years. Look at what you have on your resume now. There's a lot of people that hadn't done this. I've been a ham for 52 years, and I've never been on a DXpedition. And right now, I think at my age, I probably couldn't make it there. Hey, let me ask you a question. Did anything surprise you about what you've seen when you got there or on your trip? Anything stand out?
Well, it's been. I didn't really know what to expect as we were landing here. I knew, okay, there's this Heard Island thing, and there are volcanoes and the flat, sandy plain, and there are lots of penguins, but I didn't really have any images in my mind. And so as the island emerged from the fog, as we were coming up to it, it was just incredible to see these towering cliffs with waterfalls coming off that are fed by the glaciers high up on the cliffs. And we had a very nice day on Heard Island when we came in, and so we actually got some pretty good views of the lower to middle slopes of the glaciers. And we had a flight of maybe 30 Heard Island cormorants that came and flew in right alongside the boat, just meters from us, as we made our way into the harbor. And so that was all kind of a big surprise. I was thinking I was going to have to go take a special hiking trip to a special area to try and find the cormorants. And here I was on the way in, and they're already right there coming to say hi and welcoming us to Heard Island.
Oh, yeah. Well, you've got a lot of supporters here on the chat room. Already they're saying they're going to bring you guys potato chips at Dayton for all the survivors. I tell you, is there any other thing you miss? Baby Ruth candy bars, anything like that? I'll bring some, and we'll just whatever you guys missed the last 30 days, we'll take care of you in Dayton.
Yeah, well, the ice cream rations have been mighty short here. So I think that a nice couple scoops of ice cream is going to be in order when we get to Fremantle. But it's actually been interesting. I've been getting asked a lot by some friends and family. What's the thing that you most miss about being in the civilized world and having things available? And the truth is, we've got a lot of what we need here. We've got a couple of hot meals a day. There's been plenty of food. It's been really good food. And I've been really enjoying myself, and I'd love to stay here for 3-4 weeks longer. I've even entertained overwintering if the opportunity presents itself sometime. So maybe not this year.
Yeah, Katie WY7KY says ice cream for all you guys. I think we've got people now bringing you ice cream. Oh, you guys are going to have so much stuff when you get back. We're going to give you a big hero type parade and reception there. So it's going to be so cool. Hey, is the sun coming up there yet? I know when we started the interview it was dark. Do you have any windows there in the tent?
Yeah, I'm looking at one of the windows. It is showing that we've got a little bit of light outside. So why don't I unplug a few things here, and we can take a little tour of Bird Island.
All right. Well, we're going to go out. Let's go outside. Yeah, we'll go outside the door there. Hopefully, I want to see that mountain. So when you aim that camera at the volcano, hold it real still for about 5 or 10 seconds, so it'll lock in.
Okay.
I think. I may have messed Katie up. WY7YL. Okay. I know that's Katie. I'm trying to do 3 or 4 things here, and I may have got her call wrong earlier. But Bill's going to try to take the camera and maybe go through the door there to outside. I think he's outside. I see daylight.
Yep. I'm now standing here outside. I'm outside our tents. You still hearing me okay?
Oh man, it looks good. Should we make an announcement, something like the Eagle has landed?
No, I think I'll try and show you a little bit of camp here. So there's Big Ben is actually in front of me, and you won't see much of it at all. So this is looking around camp.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me right now?
Here. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if you took a laptop out with you or just the camera, but I see you have headphones. Okay.
Yep, I've got the laptop with me here.
The camera may be aimed. The camera may be aimed a little high. I don't know if you're seeing what you're aiming at.
Well, Big Ben is what you're seeing.
Oh, okay.
As you can tell, it's foggy this morning, so there's not much to be seen of Big Ben. But if I come over in this other direction, right here, so actually I'll just point the camera and I'll take it out of the way here for a moment.
I hear the wind.
If it'll stop shaking here, you're looking at the Lawrence Peninsula to our northwest. West-northwest, and in front of it we have one of our Yagi antennas. This is our tribander pointed at Europe. So the Europeans watching us, this is one of the antennas that's going to work you on 10, 15, and 20.
Yeah, I see. I think I see a Yagi out there, maybe. Yeah.
Yep, you should see a Yagi out there. And then there are some sort of cliffs in the distance. There are a couple of waterfalls which are certainly too small for you to see. But those are draining off of the glaciers that are up on the mountain there. And they're pretty spectacular. They have some limestone cliffs that are overlain by volcanics. And wind is up here this morning. It's kind of brisk.
So
we don't even have a view of the summit, but it's somewhere back in there.
I can tell the wind is blowing really hard because it's you can hear the wind hitting your microphone there. There's a question in the chat room. Are there any animals near you?
Yes, there are some penguins that are walking around out here on the plain. I'll see if I can get a little closer, but it's just...
That's all right. I can see them out there, I think, yeah. It's not a real close-up, but there's a couple there with their back turned to us. I can tell that.
Yeah, there are a few. They're vaguely walking this way. You might also, in the picture, be able to see we have a voyage flare up to 30 meters, and another tough one to see is the 27-meter vertical for 160 meters. But this is a nice big flat sandy plain. When it rains a lot, this will flood just a little bit. And so it has been excellent for all of our low band antennas. They've been doing very well.
Did you guys know
on the plane?
Did you guys know that was going to flood the other night? You were lucky that you put your tents on a different spot. I understand that area flooded a couple days ago.
Yes, this plane did flood a couple nights ago, and even parts of it more recently than that. Whenever it rains quite a bit, this will flood. We knew that this will flood, which is part of why we made sure to put our tents up a little ways from the lava flow, or on a lava flow, old one. It's not still warm. Rather than down on the plain, because we knew that we didn't want 3 inches of water in our tent, because that was going to be uncomfortable. Speaking of tents,
I see a bird.
I'm going to wander. Yeah, we have a few brown skuas flying around too with the penguins.
Yeah.
I'm going to wander back inside.
Okay, show us your tent. Aim it there. Show us the tent from the outside there. That's your fuel farm, isn't it? I think I see all your gasoline there.
Yeah. So these are tents. They're loans to us by HDT Global. They've been very, very nice. They're inflatable, so we bring out the compressors and just strap them down, pump them right up, and they've been working very well for us.
So what's the white? Is that snow around the tent? The white?
No, those are sandbags
to okay.
Keep the wind from getting under it and lifting our tents up.
Gotcha. I bet you guys couldn't have made it without that ATV there.
The ATV here with the trailer hooked up to it. So, could you get the door, please? Here's our team member, Vadim. Vadim, say hi.
Hello, team member. All right, well, I can tell the wind is not blowing inside like it was outside.
Yeah, the wind inside is pretty calm most of the time. Okay.
So is this the operations room where you are right now, where they're actually making contacts?
Yeah, so this is the operations room. This is sort of the awake tent. The other tent is for sleeping. It's through a little hallway. So yeah, why don't I give you a little bit of a tour tour of Victor Kilo Zero Echo Kilo headquarters here at Atlas Cove. I'll need to unplug again. Go.
So I see the hallway that connects to the other tent.
This is the front door. We actually have a hard front door on our tent. Little window in it. Then we've got morning, Alan. We've got Jim N6TQ operating 40-meter code. So Victor Echo 2 Delta Romeo Charlie, or Delta Lima Charlie. If you're watching this, get back to your code. Morning, Jim. Here we have Dave, K3EL, operating one of our stations, probably on top band still. Yep, still on top band. And Ken, November Golf 2 Hotel, operating on 80-meter code. Then we have, down the hallway is the sleeping area. Here we have the galley, so all sorts of good stuff here. A little, basic kitchen facilities, a little bit of workspace, and then into the communications area where we have satellite phones and the satellite terminals that are bringing you this live feed today. So that's headquarters here at Heard Island.
All right, and again, for all of our shortwave listeners, we are taking a live tour of a Dxpedition on a very remote island. I guess it's not in Antarctica, but it's very close. I know that I've seen it listed as sub-Antarctica, whatever that means. But we did get I did see my penguins a minute ago. I could tell the ones facing me, and I could tell the ones with the black, the back. So I could make them out, and I saw them moving around. So you made me real happy. That was a shot I was going for, the penguins.
Yeah, the penguins are there. The elephant seals are still closer to the beach than we are, which is often a good way for things to be. So they're pretty big.
So I know a lot of people are wanting you guys to operate more sideband, but is there a reason you're operating more CW? Is it because the signals are much lower and it's more difficult to get through? Would you actually make more contacts on CW than you would sideband? Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's exactly the reason, is that the Morse code makes a lot, with all of your power right there in the carrier, we're able to make contacts with much weaker signals than we could over voice. And so particularly the last few days where propagation has been pretty bad from here, it's kind of been Morse code or nothing. We are trying to do a lot more voice, and even some radio teletype, but primarily we're trying to hit voice as hard as we can. Often in the afternoons now, we'll have maybe 3 stations operating sideband, and 3 or even sometimes 4. But at some point, we run out of bands that are open that we can run sideband on.
Yeah. Well, this is about the time of night.
We aren't running it on.
Yeah, this is about the time of night that I worked you guys, and of course, again, it's as we discussed a minute, the kind of the gray line, the darkness between us and you right now. Yeah, they're saying you got great booming signals coming into Iowa now, so you guys are coming into the U.S. right now, and I'm sure you're making some good contacts. So, Bill, let me ask you, I know when you guys in 4 days, you have to tear down and get back. You don't have the option of staying an extra day or two. If it came a cyclone down here and the wind was blowing 80 miles an hour, you guys still have to pack up. You have a schedule. You have to be out of there, I believe. That could be some pretty tough work.
Yes, and so it's likely that we'll have to start. We will have to start dismantling things early, but we'll try to keep as many options available to us as we can, as late as we can in the operation. But yeah, bringing things down and getting things onto the ship is going to be a tricky process. It took quite a while to get everything up.
And everything is more difficult.
It might go a little bit faster because we have to do.
Everything is more difficult in the cold, in the wind, and the rain. You know, I'm interested. I know that you guys took that ATV down here, and that's very heavy. And Bob told me that they were going. The Braveheart guys said they could load it and unload it. How did they manhandle that? How did they get that ATV out of the boat and on the island? They just 3 or 4 of them pick it up?
I think that's exactly what happened.
Oh, wow.
According to the Braveheart crew, that ATV isn't all that heavy.
Really?
If you were to ask any of our radio team, that ATV is plenty heavy. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, the Braveheart guys are probably used to this. They're probably like Popeye and eat that spinach, you know.
Oh yeah, it's been wonderful having them with us. They've been a huge help to us, helping with the generators, keeping the generators running, helping us troubleshoot problems with both the generators and with the heater for the tent. We do have heaters for the tent, and that makes things more comfortable in here.
But I don't think you're not heating the tents.
Days,
you're not heating the tents up to about 50 degrees. Is that right?
We make it warmer in here. It isn't necessarily hot in here.
Yeah.
But it's definitely warmer.
Warmer than outside. Yeah. So now, when you guys,
the key is to keep your hands warm enough to log.
Yeah. So now, when you guys,
you can't log anymore.
When you get ready to leave here, you've got to take everything back. I know this is very strict government regulations that you guys have to go through, and you've got to take everything back. Now, I doubt anybody smokes, but I mean, you can't even leave a cigarette butt on that island, is my understanding. And you guys even have to take all the waste back, I believe.
Yes, that's true. Everything gets packed in, everything gets packed out.
Wow.
So it can be a bit of a challenge, but it's preserving this World Heritage Site, and it's also a strict nature reserve. So a lot of it is it's sort of like the U.S. national parks on the air, but larger. We went a little bit. It was a little longer trip to get here. The pileups are a little bigger, but it actually has a lot of similarities to what you might do with the national parks on the air. For those of you who haven't tried that, it's a lot of fun, and it's actually about as close to a DXpedition experience as you can get without actually going on a DXpedition. So I'd recommend that for those in the U.S. who are looking for something fun to do this summer. Just pack up the radio, go to a national park, do check on what environmental regulations are, get permission to operate, but try it and have fun.
Well, Bill, I've really enjoyed having you on here tonight. I've had you on here about an hour now. That's a whole lot more time each week than we thought we'd be getting with you guys, because this is a connection over a satellite phone. And, it's, we think this is difficult. Of course, HF is even more difficult, but it's really no easy task even to do satellite phones sometimes from remote locations like this. Before we go, is there anything else that you want to talk about or you want to bring up? I imagine all the other guys there around you are saying that that Bill needs to get to work. He's just been sitting over there looking at the computer the last hour and hadn't done anything. So what do you want to tell us?
Yeah, well, they are looking at me because I'm on shift in about 5 minutes here.
Okay.
So, but they might give me a little bit longer today for helping out the team here by being on the interview. But no, it's been a wonderful experience here on Heard Island. I hope people are taking a chance to look at our website, Victor Kilo Zero Echo Kilo.org, VK0EK.org. And a lot of the team members are posting photographs. I know that I am, and many of those are getting put up on that website. And one other thing is that today we've been talking quite a bit of amateur radio, but tomorrow morning for here on Heard Island, or the same time as this show tomorrow, I will be doing a live tweet session on the Heard Island Twitter at VK0EK about the science and some of the history of Heard Island. So if you have questions, you can join us on Twitter for that discussion.
Okay, and I'm going to go over your website and all those things after we disconnect from you. So we're going to continue to talk, but again, Bill Mitchell, AE0EE, who is in a Dxpedition down at the bottom end of the earth down there at Heard Island. We really thank you, Bill, for being with us tonight. This is our last of 3 interviews that we had hoped to have on here. You guys will be heading back home before our next Tuesday, so we wish you good luck in packing up and safely getting out of there and a safe trip back.
All right, thanks, and we hope to get a few more of you in the log because we're just short of 60,000 contacts. So give me a call. I'll be on the air in a few minutes.
All right, very good.
So,
all right, thank you. Goodbye.
Yep, goodbye.
All right, so guys, that was Bill Mitchell, AE0EE, down in Heard Island, Dxpedition. I think we've done something pretty cool here. We were able to, on Amateur Radio Roundtable, bring in a live Dxpedition, and I think the connection was pretty good tonight, so I was real happy about that. This entire show is being recorded. It will be on our archived channel where people can look at it later if you missed anything, and we're going to ourselves go back and look over it again and see what we missed, because a lot of times we don't see all the things that you guys as viewers see. If you're listening on shortwave on WBCQ, you can go to w5kub.com and you can join our webcast, and you can see the videos here, and you can get in the chat room and talk with us. So I've got a few things. I've been following Heard Island a lot over the last 10 days. Of course, we've been working with them since May of last year when I met Dr. Bob at Dayton last year, and we started planning to have this webcast even back in May of last year. So it took 1 year for this thing to materialize. So a lot of people are a little unhappy. They're saying, well, we never hear Heard Island, or they need to do better. Those guys are going through some pretty serious conditions down there. The winds have been right at several times. The winds have been right at 70 miles per hour. It's either rained, I think, or snowed on and off most of the time. It's very difficult even walking or moving around out there. So they were lucky they had some good days to set up the location there. The first couple of days they were there. And it even took them 2 days longer to get there. It took them 12 days on the boat ride instead of 10. So that was because, I think, of weather and so forth. I think these guys are real heroes to be down there and doing what they're doing. It's they're in a kind of a survival mode. Sure, they have a tent to be in, and they're keeping the tent's temperature above the temperature outside. That's what Dr. Bob told me. It's not heated to any, 68 or 69 or 70 degrees. It's probably about 50 degrees in there. For me, that would be cold. But as you noticed, Mike was wearing a jacket and warm clothes inside the building there. And I noticed even the operators, the CW operators, are wearing gloves. I saw some wearing gloves, and they had the fingers cut out of the gloves so they could send CW. But, a couple people are asking me, why can't I hear them? How do I work them? I'm not a DX person myself, although over 50 years I've worked a lot of DX. I've never sent my cards in or got a single certificate for, DXCC or anything like that. I probably have the cards to do it. But this was an interesting DXpedition for me, and I wanted to do it. So I want to give you my experience. I did work them the other day, and I want to give you my experience on what I found to do and how you might can easily, or at least have a chance to work them. So I've got a couple slides here I'm going to throw up real quick for you. If I can find them. Here we go. So these are going to be some of my hints and suggestions for working Heard Island. And again, I'm no expert on it, but I did do it. And a lot of people are not being successful in doing it. So, maybe I have a little bit of edge on them. But anyway, so the first thing you guys want to do is go to their website. Actually, their website is VE0EK.org. And there will be a link to this, DXA. But you want to go to DXA.org. And the thing about the DXA.org, it has some valuable information on there. And I don't know if you can see my mouse or not, but if you look, you see where my mouse is at the bottom. If you look, there's some little lights right there. That tells you what bands they're on. Right now, this picture says they're on 80 meters, 40 meters, and 30 meters. So I know they're operating on those bands. Now, I don't know what frequency, although they have pretty much stuck to a single frequency. But the way I followed them was this. I went to, first of all, let me talk more about DXA.org. You've got two different map views. This is a map of the world, and you can see there at the very bottom there, and you can see the contacts that are being made right there into Europe. And if you'll notice, the little lights at the bottom are blue lights, and the contacts up there are blue. That means those contacts are being made in CW, either on 80, 40, or 20. Now there's another view you can click on where you can click on maps there. This is the map I like a little better. Right here, and it will show you basically the same thing. But you can see the dark side of the earth there. You can see the shaded area. That's the gray line. And you can see right now from VE0EK, they're making contacts into Europe. And if you'll notice, they're in the gray line there. They're not working in the US or anywhere. So you can see they're in the gray line right there. So this is a good tool to know what band they're on. Now, another thing I did, I brought up two other websites. They're DX spots. If you just type in DX spot in Google, it'll come up with various DX spot sites. This one is DX Summit. And when people work these stations, they'll put their call, they'll put the DX station in there, they'll put the frequency, and they'll put information in there. For instance, this one says he worked VK0EK on 10 point, no, yeah, down here on 10.1 10.116. So that was a 30-meter contact. And if you look across here, they'll put notes in here. This note says down 1. Now down 1 means they're listening down 1. So if you call them on the 10.116, they're not going to hear you. And so if they're listening down 1 or down 2, that's where you have to call. You listen on dot 116, but you must call 1 or 2 kilohertz below. So that is one of the sites. That's called DX Summit. It updates every few seconds. And then here's another one. This is ham call. And if you'll notice, there's one there. VK0EK was spotted on 40 meters at 7016 kilohertz on 40 meters. And there's the time. You can look at the time and you can say, hey, that was in the last couple minutes he was on that frequency. So I use these DX spots in addition to their DXA, which shows me what bands are on. And when I worked him the other night, I was surprised. I was not expecting this, but when I made contact with them the other night, this message popped up. It says, congratulations, W5KUB, you just made a QSO with VE0EK. Now, let me tell you how I made this contact. It's kind of funny how I made this contact, but I had listened. I had been following them for 10 days on all the different frequencies, trying to hear them, but all I heard was QRM. I never heard their call letters. Now, particularly on CW, they're not going to give their call letters for every contact. They may work 3 or 4 people and then give their own call letters. So it's kind of hard. And another thing, with so many people calling them, there's such pileups that are very strong, they just cover them up. But what I did on 30 meters was, I knew they were on 10.116. I knew they were listening down 2. So I set my radio up. I got on 2 kilohertz down. And when I would hear everyone else call them, I knew that they were obviously heard Island. So when I would hear all these other stations call, I threw my call in here a couple times. And I did that 2 or 3 times. And then after this pileup, after everybody sends their call in, it gets quiet for a second. And then guess what? I heard my call letters come back to me very weak from Heard Island. They actually picked me out of the bunch and called me back. And then we exchanged signal report, and that was it. But that's the only time I've heard them. Now, so this is kind of neat. Now, the other thing that this will do, if you miss this message right here, and you want to know if you're in your logbook, if you go to this page on there, dxa.org, if you look at the bottom left, you'll see a spot where you can put a call in. You can put your call in there and hit search. And you can see right here the little I guess that's bluish green. Anyway, that little light on 30 came on. That is confirmed logged, meaning I put a call letter in there, W5KUB, and I hit search, and it came up, and the little 30 light came on, and that confirmed that they do have me in their log as working them on 30 meters. Now, how did I do it? In fact, after 50 years of hamming, I have never made a single contact on 30 meters ever. That was my very first contact on 30 meters. I didn't even have an antenna up, but I felt like that was probably the easiest band for me to make a contact with. So here's a picture. Here's a picture of my antenna. Can you guys see my antenna? Now, the nice thing about these antennas I'm going to talk to you about are pretty stealth. The neighbors, nobody even sees it. So I'm going to show you my antenna. Now look closely. It's there. If you look at the end of that, look at the end of the red arrow, that is a balun. That is a balun hanging there with a rope over the tree limb. And if you look closely, you might see the coax dropping straight down. That's all you see. So there's the antenna I worked them on. I needed a 30 meter antenna. I didn't have one. So I took about 20 minutes of time, and I built one and put one up in 20 minutes of time. It is so simple. Now, all you need is some wire. The frequency that they're on 30 meters is 10.116. All you need is some wire. Now, being a ham, you probably have all kinds of wire around. It could be Romex for wiring houses. It could be extension cords. It could be anything. I happen to have a roll of field wire. This is military field wire, and if you've ever seen this, you know what it is. But they use this for running telephones from foxhole to foxhole. You know, you'll see the Army guy running across the battlefield with this spool of cable, and he's putting down the wire. Well, this is the wire they use. It's very, very strong. It's two different conductors. Each conductor the military wanted something very strong. So each conductor of this wire here is kind of unique. It's got 4 copper conductors and 3 steel conductors. 4 copper, 3 steel in each side. So you can see this wire has steel in it. And you could just about pull a car with this wire. It is so tough, it's very difficult to break. That's what I like to build my antennas out of. Plus it's black, and you put it up in the trees, you can't even see it. So that's the wire I used. Now the antenna I used was a delta loop. You can make a full wave square. You can make it into a rectangle, but I chose to make it in a triangle. All it is a full wave of wire on that frequency. And to get that to get the length of wire, I believe the formula is 1,000. It's 1005 divided by the frequency in megahertz. So 10.1 into 1005 is around 100 feet. So you need about 100 feet of cable for a full wave loop for 30 meters. So that's basically what a delta loop looks like. Now, this antenna has gain over a dipole. It has a little bit of gain over a dipole. It's a very good antenna. You can feed it at the bottom. This is a triangle where it's fed at the bottom. They're showing a 4-to-1 balun here. Now, I don't know why they're showing that, because actually the impedance of a full wave loop like this is around 100 ohms. And a 4-to-1 balun would mean, what's that? That's 200 to 50 ohm coax to 200. That's 4-to-1. So really, if it's 100 ohms, you really need a 2-to-1 balun. But I chose to put a 1-to-1 in. So I put a 1-to-1 balun in. Now, again, this is with it hanging with the feed point at the bottom. You can put the feed point at the top if you want to. This is how mine is. You can see the feed point is at the very top. I put a balun at the top. If you don't have a balun, make you an insulator there and hook your coax directly to it. Yes, there will be some mismatch, but it won't be bad enough that your radio won't work into it. It's still going to be pretty close. You'll probably have less than a 2-to-1 SWR. So this is how I put mine up right here. This is the triangle, and you can see the bottom corners right there. They just use rope and tie it off. Now, they use insulators. Typically on my antennas, I don't even use insulators. Here's an example of what I do. I take the antenna, I'll tie a loop in the wire at the appropriate place, and I'll tie me a rope or a string to that and pull it tight. So this is the exact antenna that I put up out in my trees to work Herd Island. Now, one of the things you want to do is you want to position the antenna. You want to position the antenna in the direction of Herd Island. Now, Herd Island, for us inexperienced guys, it took me a while to find the exact headings, but I think it was 220 degrees for me, which is probably that for most people in the U.S. And if you have an antenna, running north and south, like a dipole, that's not going to do very good off the ends. A dipole works mostly broadside to it. So you need to turn the antenna broadside to the direction you want to work. So I put this in a tree, and I tied it off where it was broadside to the direction of Heard Island. So the antenna took about 20 minutes to build. It probably cost less than a couple bucks, and it has gain over a dipole, and I worked Heard Island on it. So that's kind of the story of my deal, what I was able to do. So anyway, that is quite a bit of the information that I had on Heard Island tonight. They will be at Dayton this year, and we'll be there. We'll be inviting them to come by our booth, and maybe we'll have a reunion and get a lot of them together there. Say hello to you guys. I'm gonna open the phone lines just real quick, and see if anybody wants to call in and talk about the show tonight. Let me see if I can figure out how to find the phone number here. Nope, that's not it. There it is right there. If you call 901-286-1116, you can call in the show if you have questions or comments. We'd love to hear from you. Shortwave listeners, if you'd like to call in, 901-286-1116. Please give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. We'll open up the Hangout in just a few minutes, and that'll give other people a chance to come in with video and join the show. How did I get up in a tree? That's a good question. That antenna is put up about 50 feet in a tree. You can go out and you can spend $100 on a slingshot hanger, or you can build you like a potato gun that shoots it. But hey, I went to Walmart. I bought me a $5 fishing reel, a $5 slingshot. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. I bought me a slingshot and the reel, and I just clamped the reel on a slingshot with a couple hose clamps, put a nut on it, and you just pull that thing back and you aim at the fork of the tree and shoot it. And let me tell you, it is so easy to. The thing is very accurate. It's so easy to put a nut and put that line over a tree limb 60, 70, 80 feet in the air. It is so easy. Once that goes over, then you go to the other side, tie your piece of nylon cord on it, reel that thing all the way back up and over that limb, and now you've got a nylon cord over it that'll hold some weight. You can either pull a light rope over it or use a nylon cord if your antenna is going to be up there, temporarily. So that's how we got it over the tree. Let me check the chat room out here. Okay, Jill, good night. Jill's got to leave us. Let's see. Okay, Mike is saying NM1W. Let's see. Was wondering what polarity I use for the delta loop. I use horizontal polarity. And the thing about the loop is, if you feed it like at the top or the very bottom center, you'll have a horizontally polarized antenna. Now, I'm just trying to think, it might have been some advantage to go vertical, because I'm not sure if Heard Island was using vertical antennas or if they had some wire antennas up. But if you want to change the polarity, the polarization of a full wave loop or a delta loop, just look it up on the internet. It's very easy. You just move the feed point to the side, and on a square or a loop, you can move it to the side instead of feeding it at the bottom of the top, and that will make it a vertical polarization. A triangle is a little bit different. You can't feed it right at the corner. I think you need to be 1/4 wavelength from one of the corners. But you can look that up. It's real easy to do. Okay, so AB9SY says he's going to get the slingshot and give it a try. It works really well. Let me tell you, you'll get good with it after a while. You may miss the first 1 or 2 times, but you'll get it the third time. be prepared. Your line might get tangled in a tree limb. If you shoot a nut up there, sometimes if it didn't come all the way down, it might wrap around a tree limb. If it does, break the line, tie you another nut on there. Get your 4 or 5 nuts to, cause you will lose a couple of them. All right, the number again, 901-286-1116. Looking for a call. I think the guys that normally call in, they're all going to bed. So somebody give us a call. What coax? Jerry wants to know what coax. Jerry, I used the 50 feet down. I used RG8X. RG8X. That's the small lower loss. Instead of RG58, it's the 8X. And basically, what I have at my house here, I have my antenna cables come up in the ground out back. I've got 130 something feet buried conduit from my shack to the back. So I've got 4 runs of a LMR 400 that go all the way to the backyard into a waterproof container. And then I've got barrel connectors there on a grounding plate, and I can screw different antennas on those coaxes. So I just brought a 50-foot piece of RG8X down, brought it over to the entry point for my underground cables, and just screwed them together. I had it in the shack here. N0 RIC, will I be at Free Fest? Yeah, that's Memphis, the Memphis Ham Fest. I will be there. I don't think we're going to be webcasting Free Fest because I've got so much equipment here set up for this show. It's very difficult to tear down. Plus, Free Fest is only 6 hours long, and it probably takes longer than that to even get set up. And I don't have any prizes lined up for Free Fest. That's this weekend, so I will be there, but I think I'm going to take the opportunity to look around the Memphis Ham Fest and visit with some people, and maybe I'll buy something. When I go to Dayton and places like that, I don't have any time to do any looking around. If you guys have watched our show, you'll notice that we work 110% of the time trying to put the show on for you guys. We're going to give away a lot of prizes. We're already starting to get a lot of prizes for Dayton, and we'll have them on our web page here real soon. Jerry says he's going to be using RG213 for his Delta loop. That'll work fine. And hey, if you don't have a balun, you don't have to put one on it. Hook the coax. We got a phone call coming in. Let me grab it real quick. Just hook the coax directly to it if you can. You'll have a little bit of an SWR, but not a whole lot, probably 2 to 1. Another thing you can do, read about it in the handbook. Another thing you can do if you want to match it where it's almost perfect, but this makes it only a 1-band antenna. You can take you a quarter wave of 75 ohm coax and put that at the feed point, come down a quarter wave with 75 ohm coax, a quarter wave for that frequency, and then connect your 50 ohm coax on the end of that cable, that coax, and you'll have just about a perfect match. The problem with that scenario is it makes that antenna basically a single band antenna. I don't use the matching coax stub, I use a balun up there. The nice thing about this is I use the Delta loop antennas on like 40 and higher. If you make it for 40, it will work 20. It'll work 20, it'll work 10, it'll work 6, it'll work all the other bands higher than that. So, and they're very low in SWR, and it requires no tuner. I like all my antennas to be resonant where I don't have to put a tuner in. Who we got on the phone? Go ahead.
Oh, this is just Russ, KG0BK.
Hey, Russ.
We're just going to mention about, somebody was asking about your antenna and horizontal or vertical. It really depends on, and probably something they should think about, but don't, and I don't either a lot. When you're bouncing off, especially going that far, you're not in a direct line of sight. You're not in a, if you're in horizontal mode, time you get up and bounce down and back up the ionosphere and back down, it could be in a horizontal, it could be in a vertical, it could be somewhere in between. So it doesn't really matter to match horizontal to horizontal or vertical to vertical when you're going that far.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Russ. That distances and it's going to bounce several times probably on the ionosphere and the Earth, and it may change polarization by the time it gets there.
Well, that was the whole thing. A lot of people thought that I've talked to before too, especially the newer hams. Well, I don't want to put up a vertical because everybody's got dipoles out there horizontal. I says it depends on how far you are out, and if you're talking straight ground wave or something, it might make a difference. But when you start getting that far out, who knows how it's going to come down? Vertical, horizontal, or 45 degrees? That's where you need a rotatable dipole that goes up, down, and around.
And though, I mean, it does make sense when you're talking about VHF and things like that. If you're working 2 meters or 2 meters or 440 sideband, it does help to have the right polarity, even 6 meters, because that's more of a line of sight or it's much closer, and you'll get, if you have different polarities, for instance on 2 meters, if you'll have almost 6 dB difference in loss if one guy's vertical and one guy's horizontal. But again, that's direct line of sight. But like you're talking about for HF, where we're talking about multiple bounces, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, exactly. And when I mentioned line of sight, I guess I should have said that with HF. But you don't have the line of sight thing. So, and you don't know how you're going to pick up their signals. If it's horizontal, vertical, or who knows?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
We've got
or what you've got for an antenna. Just try it and see if it works.
That's right. Just put the antenna up, and hey, like I said, I took 20 minutes. I rolled the wire off. I pulled it over a tree. I came in. I was trying to beat a storm that was coming. I knew it was going to be raining for 2 or 3 days here. And I thought, if I want to get this antenna up, I've got to get it up in the next 20 minutes. So that's what I did. One of the guys in the chat room says a bow and arrow works the best, or I guess for him. I tell you, I tried. I had a friend. Now, a bow and arrow may not be a crossbow. Let me tell you, I had a friend that came over when I lived at another location out in the country, and he brought a crossbow over. Those things are very powerful, and we put the fishing line on it and set that crossbow, and I was going to shoot over about 100-foot tree, and let me tell you, we let that arrow go flying, and we never saw it again. That arrow probably went 2 miles. Hopefully it didn't kill a cow in a pasture somewhere, but we never saw it. It went so fast and with such force, it was the fishing line just couldn't handle it. So I think just a regular bow and arrow where you can kind of adjust the tension.
I just want to call in and just say hi to you again, and let everybody know that when you're going HF, horizontal, vertical, unless you're talking close, it's not going to make that big of a difference.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Russ.
Well, thanks for having me in, Tom. I will talk to you again soon.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You bet.
Okay. 901-286-1116. Give us a call. They want to know, Jerry wants to know how many are in our team to do the show at Dayton. Jerry, it'll be Kathy and myself, and Freddie YV5QF usually does Dayton with us, and also another friend, Tommy W4 VOC, I think. I don't remember Tommy's call offhand, but it is VOC. It's a 4 VOC. So there'll be 4 of us up there, and it'll take every bit of us to really get the show going. Now, one of the things that I wanted to tell you guys, and we're getting close to the show. Let me see if I can find it here. This is cool again. If I can find it. Here we go. This is going to be a co-host. Our friend, astronaut Doug Wheelock is going to be back with us. He's going to be with us on Friday and Saturday. At least that's what he said. I haven't heard from him in the last few weeks, but he had to go to Russia, he said, to do some training or something. But he was going to be back in time to join us. So he is planning on being with us Friday and Saturday. So if you are at Dayton, come by, get your picture made with him, talk to him. Many of us talked to Doug. I talked to Doug 40 times when he was the commander of the International Space Station. And that's another neat part of the hobby. People think it's very difficult, but it's not that difficult. It's probably easier than working Hurt Island. I talked to Doug 3 times driving home in my truck with my mobile rig. I use, they want to know, use walnuts or peanuts, to shoot over a tree. I don't know. I think you might have trouble tying the fishing line on the walnut. I like a good steel nut. Find you some old bolts and nuts somewhere and get you a nut that's about, a ½ inch in diameter, got a little bit of weight to it, and you can stick that fishing line right through the hole and tie it on there. The question was, I put the feed point of my delta loop at the very top. See, to me, it was easier on this one. It was easier to pull up the center and then tie the 2 bottom ends off of the triangle. If you put that V at the bottom, then you've got to get 2 real high supports to hold that across the top of that V. So it works the same way either way. Now, on 30 meters, that antenna is about 100 feet of wire, and the triangle itself, when you put it in a triangle, the triangle itself is about 25 feet from top to bottom. So I was up about 50 feet. So that means that the bottom of my antenna was about 25 feet off the ground. But it doesn't have to be a triangle. Make it a circle, make it a square, make it a octagon, make it any shape you want to. Just as long as you get a full wave of wire out there. That antenna is a great antenna. It has good gain over other wire antennas. That antenna is a resonant antenna. That antenna will work all the other bands above it without a tuner, and it's just amazing. If you put it up and you do check the SWR and it seems a little high, you can go out there and you can adjust it. And what I did on mine, I did go back out one time and I lengthened my wire up at the top. I let the rope down where the ballon is, and I took me 2 2-foot pieces of wire out there, and I unhooked the wire at the ballon, and I put 2 pieces of wire in, one on each side of the ballon, and extended the length of my overall loop by 4 feet. I pulled it back up there, and it brought it in resonant just really close to where I was wanting to operate. Okay, 901-289-1116, 901-286-1111. I'm going to give you the hangout. Let's see. Kathy, can you put the hangout in there, please? I'm going to give us the hangout number in case the guys want to join on hangout, and we'll still leave the phone line open if you want to call in. So we're going to open up the hangout where you can call in with your camera and be on the show. Let's see. And for some reason I've lost my hangout link, so I'm going to have to find it. Kathy, can you, but I don't have it up. Can you send it to my Gmail, please, the link to my Gmail? I don't know, sometimes these computers change, and where you had something on here one day, you don't have it another day. I'll have it just a minute. So if any of you guys want to join us on Hangout, Kathy put the link in the chat room. Again, give us a call on the phone number 901-286-1116. All right, so let me get got to work the right mouse here. And I don't have a keyboard here for this. I've got the mouse, but I don't have the keyboard here. Here we go. So you sent me the link. This looks weird. They must have changed something. Okay, Hangout has changed. That's the first note that comes up. Hangout has changed. Click Allow to turn on my camera. Okay. They've done it to me again. Here we go. Says I'm the first one there. Nope, Doc's there. Hey Doc, how you doing?
Hey, good evening, Tom. Great
Good.
show.
Good. Let me get you on here. If I can figure out where you are. There you are, right there. I'll figure this out in a minute. So it's just me and you tonight. Where is everybody?
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. Great, really good show though. I enjoyed that so much. I worked them on 30 meters also.
yeah, I did too, and I was really surprised when I did work them. Boy, I tell you, it was a miracle. To tell you the truth.
I worked them on an all-band dipole that is fed with ladder line.
Yeah.
They weren't really loud, but I guess they heard me. I was using about 110 watts, I guess.
Yeah, let me tell you, they were very, very weak here. I mean, they were very, very weak. That's all I can say.
You know, I've got a lot of noise on that antenna. It's not really it's not a really good receive antenna when you're trying to use it in that way. But I'll tell you what I did. I turned my beam, which of course won't load on it's a tri-band beam, but it won't load on 10 megahertz. But even with the tuner, but I could hear them really much better on the beam because it was much quieter. And so I would transmit on the wire antenna, and then I would switch over to the beam to listen, and that's how I worked them.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to set me up here.
Also worked one de Nova Europa, three times actually, at another big DXpedition going.
There's a lot of DX on there. When I was following Herd Island, I was surprised at how much DX was actually on at the same time. That
FT4JA, I believe it is. I think that's
the
sixth most wanted entity, and they've got really pretty much. They've got a lot of bands going, and it's a little easier to copy them because I think they're closer to the equator.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I think I've got me a camera set up here. Here we go.
Here comes Jerry.
Let's see. We got.
DX was actually.
Hey Jerry, how you doing, Jerry?
On at the same time. That,
hey guys, let me turn this down.
Yeah, you gotta turn it down.
I think that's
yeah.
Okay, you guys hearing me, right?
Yep.
Okay, good, man.
Okay, I'm reading the chat room. Let me respond. Did Doug give me a time when he will be there on days? Doug has just told me he would be with us all day Friday and Saturday. He has a prior engagement on Sunday, but he will be in our booth, I assume, all day Friday and Saturday. So that'll be good. You guys come out and see Doug. Let's see. Jerry said he used a pneumatic air launcher with a tennis ball. That works pretty good. That would work real good. I need to build me up one, compressed air, or you can use, or it's the same principle as if you've seen the potato gun, where you put the lighter fluid or WD-40 or hairspray in there, and you put a spark, and it shoots the potato out the barrel for about 300 feet. But I've had guys come by and say, "Yeah, I used to build those," and they'd hold his hand up, and they'd be missing about 3 fingers.
I had a guy gave me one of those last year. Not the potato gun, but it's the pneumatic gun.
Yeah,
it's got a I guess it's a water switch or something that you can flip that'll open up the chamber. So exhausts when the water switch gets flipped.
Yeah. Guys, after the Dxpedition leaves, I'm sure they will still operate from the boat. It will not be the Herd Island Dxpedition, but they made a lot of contacts going down on the boat, so I'm sure they'll probably operate some. Although they're going over to Australia, which is a little closer, they might not be out there that long. But man, I can just imagine a 10-day ride, Doc. A 10-day ride in that boat out there in the ocean, man.
Yeah, you know, I don't usually get seasick unless I'm on a really, really small boat, like a fishing boat or something like that. But the larger boats, I don't usually have too much trouble with motion sickness.
Uh-huh.
I wonder if they're wearing the patches.
Yeah, who's on the phone?
This is King Charles VIII, Fox Queen Victor, Mark, up in Northeast Ohio.
Fox Queen Victor, and what was your name?
Name is Mark, M-A-R-K.
Mark, okay. Yeah, Mark, okay.
Yeah, I forgot. Well, I know about them. It's just hard to be around all these nets we have.
Yeah,
We're in one world that, you know, if you don't like something, go and do something else. I mean, here's so much to do.
Yeah. Well, you know, wow. So, hey, I guess, Mark, you got to see the show tonight.
No, I didn't get to see the whole thing.
Okay.
I just tuned it in.
Okay. Well, it's recorded. It'll be on tonight late, and then it'll be on, you know, you can find it tomorrow. And we had a good connection. Doc, how do you like the video from here? It wasn't perfect.
I thought it was adequate.
Yeah. You know. Now, Mark, I'm hearing.
I hear myself on the feed.
Yeah, you need to turn down. I think it's you. You need to turn down the volume on the webcast.
Just did turn that down.
So yeah, Doc, to me it was a great thing. I mean, I'm no explorer, and I'm no explorer, no astronaut. When I first hooked up with him tonight before the show, he had a winter cap on. He had that light up on his head there, and winter clothes on, and it was dark in there. I said, if people didn't know any difference, we'd think you're down in a coal mine.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah, probably.
I want to let you go. I just want to stop by and let you know that I'll tune in again, and you guys really have a competition out there with all the different things to do between HF and VHF and the Simplex and Echo Link and D-Star, and there's just so much for us to do.
Yeah.
So I want to send it back your way, and hopefully I'm going to run into you guys when, well, we don't want to run into each other, but you know what we're talking about when we get to Dayton. So I'll stop by and say hello.
All right. Well, Mark, you come by and say hello, okay? And hey, I'm going to be totally busy there the whole time, but what I tell everybody is, try to butt in and interrupt me and at least let me know you're there, because if you don't, I'll never know you were there.
Right. Just get in the line and say, hey, here we are, and then get that 2 seconds in, and then you move along, and just gotta meet everyone and see everyone.
Well, I think Doug will probably be the big hit. He usually has some awful long lines there at our booth, and last time he was with us, it was lunchtime. We were getting hungry, and the line had like 30 or 40 people in it, and every time, he's very nice. He talks to everybody as long as they want to talk, and signs an autograph. So I figured, okay, 30 people at 5 minutes apiece. That's that's 150 minutes. That's over 2 hours. So I made me a sign. I said the line ends here. Going to lunch, come back at 2 o'clock. And I stuck that on the back of a person in line, and we didn't know what was going on, but they kept moving the sign back on the next person and the next person. We almost didn't get out of there. So we may have to take our own food with us this year and just eat there, eat in the booth.
All right. Well, you keep spreading this word like that, maybe people will just bring you something to eat.
Yeah, well. Okay, let's see.
All right, well, I'm going to let you go.
Yep. All right, 73, Mark. Thanks for calling in.
Yep.
All right, that was Mark. If anybody wants to join us and too shy to get on with their camera, you can call us on the phone, 901-286-1116. Give us a call. Let us know what's going on in your life. Let me know if you work.
Fix me a sandwich there while you can.
Yeah.
Fix me a sandwich.
Yeah. Is Jerry making a sandwich?
But you will eat it.
A grilled cheese will be fine.
Oh yeah, I'll fix it for you and have it.
I tell you what, Doc. Tonight I'm looking at the pictures below, and everybody's got names back on them again. So Hangout has done changed their software again.
Oh yeah.
Now I've got the names over the little postage pictures at the bottom.
Yeah, I always have those.
Well, yeah. Oh well.
I never did it. Don't put that in the way.
All right. So let's see. I've got.
Where the others tonight? They're going to sleep or something?
Let's see. I've got the wrong camera on for you guys on the Hangout to see. Let me see if I can change the camera.
I don't want you trouble.
I probably can't change. No, I can't change it, I guess, while I'm live. So you guys are going to have to live with that camera, with that picture of me right there.
That's not a problem.
All right.
All right.
Nice view of your fluorescent light.
Yeah, let me see if I can.
No, you're all right. I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
That's a little better. You can even see my blue screen back here. All right, so let's see what's going on in the chat room. Shortwave going off here. Okay, thank you very much, Robert. Thank you very much. I'll turn the audio feed off to the shortwave station. Thank you very much. Wow, normally we're on till like 9:30, but looks like Robert kept us on longer tonight. Thanks a lot, Robert, at WBCQ up in Monticello, Maine. He's the main man controlling the shortwave station tonight. Thank you. Good night there. Robert, we were glad to have you on here. I hope you're on here every night with us.
Yeah, that really was a historic broadcast, Tom. Really, that's history making.
Well, I think it is, and I'm trying to think what to do next. Now, for the last couple years, I've been wanting to bring in Antarctica, the station down here at the South Pole, or what is it, Perry, or what do you call it? Yeah. Anyway, I was wanting to see if I could get a interview with them, but we pulled off the Hurt Island, so that was good. Next, what I want to do, and this is going to require some. This is going to require. I don't know what the words are, but here's what I want to do. I want to bring in a live video feed from the International Space Station and have them on here one night. And maybe Doug can help me get that arranged.
That'd be cool. Maybe you can find an all-water route to the moon.
Yeah. Okay, Jim, NM1W says good night. These guys on the East Coast, they have to go to bed so early, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I usually stay up till midnight. That's about my witching hour, I'll tell you.
Well, I don't know, man. I hope you get some sleep, man. I hate for you poking around me the next morning at 8 o'clock.
All it needs one eye.
Yeah. You just tell your patients you slept at a Holiday Inn last night. Yeah.
That's right. I'm not a doctor, but I play one, right?
That's right. All right, come on. We need a phone call in here at 901-286-1116.
Where our friend William is tonight.
I saw him in the chat room. He said that was Jeff.
Jeff.
That was Jeff said he had to go. He wouldn't be in the room tonight. I don't know where William is.
Yeah, I ducked out last week early because I wanted to work the station, and in fact, right after I ducked out, that's when I did work it.
Yeah, Mike KE8 IL. He says he's on his way, so I don't know if he's going to be dialing in or not. We'll see. So we'll probably have someone join us here in a minute. See, these guys on the West Coast, they're lucky out there. You know, it's just almost 8 o'clock at night there, man. You know, they're probably just finishing up supper. Now, I don't know about these guys down around Dallas. I just don't know about them.
We enjoying life. That's what it is.
Yeah, yeah. What are you eating there, man? You making me hungry.
A slice of apple.
Oh, that'd be good. That'd be cool. I may make me a peanut butter sandwich in a little while.
Of a cigar here,
So let me ask Doc here a medical question. Doc, is peanut butter bad for me? I've been eating it like 60-something years.
I hope not. That's what I have just about every day for lunch. I have a piece of whole wheat bread and about 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, and that's my standard lunch. That's how I lost 30 pounds. So.
Oh wow! You know.
Hey Doc, I thought peanut butter usually make you put on weight. How come you losing weight?
Well, it's just part of an overall plan. You know,
Okay.
I try to eat cereal for breakfast and you know, skim milk, and then if I want a snack, I eat fruit like you do.
Cool.
Wow. Well, I've been eating it for a long time. I've been eating it on white bread. My doctor told me I need to get off the white bread. So, you know, I'm trying this brown stuff, this wheat bread. That's the baddest tasting stuff I ever had, man. I want to go back to my white bread.
Right, it's an acquired taste.
Yeah. I found out if I put the peanut butter on that brown bread about 3 times as thick, it compensates. You know, it works okay.
Hey Tom, I got a question for you.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Who makes the bread that you eat?
Well,
Is it homemade or is it? Do you buy it at the market?
I buy it at the store.
I buy nature's own whole grain bread.
Dude, you guys need to make your own bread.
No, man, I ain't gonna put peanut butter on homemade bread. That'd be terrible.
Hold a minute, guys. Hold a minute.
But it's got to be chunky peanut butter.
Oh no, I can't stand a chunky either, man.
Hey, good evening, fellers. I made it.
Well, I was wondering if you're gonna make it.
Good to see you, Mike.
Well, I had to get some stuff taken care of in the I had to stop in the library first, and then I made it there.
Excuses.
Yeah.
You gonna make it to Dayton, Mike?
No, I'm not going to go down there. I'm just going to sit here and wait for Hambot to send me some prizes.
Well, Hambot may pick you this year.
Yeah, I haven't been to Dayton in about 10 or 12 years. I went 3 years in a row, and maybe something to go. I've been there, so it's just something that every ham should go to at least once.
I guess I've probably been about 30, 35 times maybe.
Yeah, this I think this will be our 35th consecutive year. It's been a long time.
I've missed one here and there, but I've been to most of them, I guess, since probably back in the late 60s.
Well, look, hey, are you gonna be up here this year?
Yeah.
Okay, bring your blood pressure. What do you call it? Your stethoscope and your blood pressure thing.
My sphygmomanometer.
Yeah, your speakonometer, whatever you call that thing. I come by the booth there. It gets really hectic there, and especially when we have network issues and all kinds of stuff going on. I might need some doctor care.
Well, I don't know. I don't think I have an Ohio license, but I might have to slip you some blood pressure medicine or something.
You need a license to operate in another state, Doc?
You have to have a license in whatever state you're practicing in.
So if let's say I was you were passing through here and I had an emergency and you had to deal with it, you have to get a license for that?
If it's an emergency, no.
Hey, if it's an emergency, he can yank your appendix out in no time, man.
Yeah, it's an emergency. I can do that too.
Yeah, I can too. I can do that.
Right, Mike.
Let me tell you, I was in the 4th Mob in the Air Force and went through the survival school. I could take your appendix out with a pair of fingernail clippers.
You guys are terrible.
In fact, I did. In fact,
make it, but he'll take it out anyway.
In fact, I just ordered me a shirt. It said, a shirt I saw it on the internet. Something about this guy may be old, but don't mess with a veteran of the United States Air Force. I'll wear that one night. No, well, it's gonna be blue. I can't wear it because I got a blue screen here.
You'll have to dye it between now and then.
Well, Kurt WA2JSG says this will be his 43rd consecutive year. Wow. I
tell you what, I enjoy that as much as anything that I do during the year.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad to go, and I really get excited the week that I'm leaving, and then I'm glad to leave when it's over, because usually I've walked my legs off in that flea market.
Well, we were out in the flea market for 31 years. Of course, we didn't always do a webcast, and back 20 years ago, it was much busier outside, and you could walk 3 days out there and not see everything.
Yeah,
I never made the whole distance of that flea market.
Yeah. We were so tired, man. We were so tired at the end of the day, and I think a couple of those times we had to stay up in Troy. That's probably 30 minutes north of Dayton, and man, we were so tired, just about falling asleep getting up there, man, to the hotel.
Yeah, that's where we're staying this time, I think. I've never been up there, but that's the only place I could find 3 rooms.
Yep.
We always stayed in some little town just north of Dayton, or about 20 miles north. I think it was called Piqua, something like that.
Oh, I've stayed about everywhere there. There's a little suburb to the east. There, out 70. I forget what the name of the town.
Kettering, and there's
what is it?
Miamisburg, and
well, Miamisburg's south, I think. I stayed here last year, but this place I'm talking about, it's supposed to be the city with the house with the most brick houses in the country or something. I don't know how they get. I don't know if they counted all the bricks or what they did.
Well, we always stayed at that place because they had a mall attached to the motel with a movie theater, shopping. My wife went the one day on Friday with us, with my son, and then the next day she said, "You guys go to your convention. I'm staying here at the mall."
You enjoyed all of it. She could stand, right?
One day was it.
Yeah, Mike VE3MIC is asking, does anyone know if they spent any money on renovations at Hera? I don't know. I haven't heard of any, but it doesn't bother me that much. I go there to do what I want to do, and I don't go there for I mean, now that people are talking about it, I see a lot more things, like ceiling tiles missing or insulation hanging out of the roof or stuff like that. But
I missed the year that they had all the trouble with the bathrooms. Thank God.
Well, the bathrooms usually back up about every year, but 3 or 4 years ago, the sewer exploded out in the flea market. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, I think that they had some serious issues indoors.
Okay.
The year that I missed, and I was glad that I did after I heard that. But last year they seemed to be pretty attentive to that.
Yeah, well, a few years ago, the sewer pipe out in the flea market under everybody erupted with the sewage.
Oh no!
It erupted with the sewage, and I don't know. They had to move people, and there were people that were actually their booth was on top of sewage just about, and that was.
Yeah, I heard all the guys that came back this area talking about it.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd make for some pretty good deals, though.
Yeah. Yeah, you want this 2-meter rig, it smells a little funny. I'd wash my hands each time you use it. Don't hold it too close to your face.
So you could say that's a piece of crap, and you'd be right.
That's right, That's exactly right, yeah. Oh, man.
Well, the problem with staying indoors all the time like you're doing, Tom, is that you don't get to see any of the ham fest.
I don't see, and since we've been in a webcam, I don't see any. I used to have time. I would walk around. I would look for stuff to buy and neat stuff. But, the last 2 years, I haven't even got to go outside. And that's the part I love the most is the outside flea market. And I don't have time to even go around on the inside and look at stuff. We're putting a show on the whole time. I don't think I spend maybe 25 cents on me when I go up there. You know, come home, I might have a PL259. That might be all I'll get, you know.
Well, what you got to do is you got to put Kathy on and let her run it.
Well, but she doesn't want to do that. Doesn't want to,
Yeah,
you know.
she won't know what you're buying.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be an expensive year again this year, to tell you the truth. It cost us a few $1,000s to do this webcast for Dayton, and we're getting internet put in this year. You know, I've had to deal with Exceed for the internet the last 3 years, or 4 years, but they're not going to make it this year. So, you know, I'm having an internet circuit put in. That circuit alone is going to cost $400 to $600, I think. So it's going to be a big year. I think I'm going to have to probably push on the show for some donations. I might even offer one prize. We got a nice prize. One of the prizes is that new CAA 500 Mark II antenna analyzer. You know, I may just say, okay, 40 prizes are for everybody, but this one prize, if you donate $10, we'll put your name in a hat for the CAA 500 or something like that, you know. Try to find something to raise a little money.
Yeah, I saw your GoFundMe page.
Well, I put that on there. I've never really wanted to do a GoFundMe, but, you know, I hear there's all these rich people all over the country just looking for, you know, stuff to donate to. Anyway, I put it up there, and I think
I look at what you post on Facebook with all the check-ins from all the different countries that listen to your webcast the night before. There's an awful lot listening to you.
Yeah. You know, we'll have 20 or 30 countries. It may not be but 1 or 2 people per country, but
they just need to send you some green stamps.
Yeah, but our biggest audience won't be tonight. Our biggest audience will be tomorrow. We'll have over, I've been looking at the numbers, and if you look at the YouTube videos, tomorrow there will be probably 1,000 people that will watch this video tomorrow.
Well, then you're getting the word out.
Well,
yep.
Put your little
put
your little banner on there before you start it, and say, you know, if you enjoy these webcasts, then please contribute.
All right, who we got on the phone?
Hey, Thomas, it's Russ, KQ0BK again.
Hey, Russ.
When you were talking about the ham pass, I just had to call because I talked to the last ham fest you were at. I want to say Huntsville, but that's probably
the
not
last
right.
one. The last one was down in Mississippi about a month or 2 ago. It was in Jackson, Mississippi.
Jackson, that's the one. Anyway, I watched it off and on live, and my son watched it on the webcast later. But as you were walking through, and we'd see these different items that, you know, you go, well, this is this, this is this. I go, Tom, stop here. I'm just thinking, Tom, stop here. I want to see that. And you would stop there, and you would look at that and go, this is a, you know, and Adam, my son, was saying the same thing. He says, Daddy stopped right where we wanted him to stop. It was like you already knew. I thought that was awesome.
Well, we had people on there that said go to booth 123 and say hello to, you know, John Doe, and we'd try to swing by there.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to call and tell you that both of us were the same way. In fact, he called me the next day. He says, "Oh, you were on the Hamfest. I saw you in the chat room. Tom said something about. That's when you won the radio. I believe that.
Yeah, I won a radio. Yazoo, whatever, Fusion. Fusion Radio. Yeah.
He said, well, I've never won anything in Hamfest, but okay, so we're talking about the same site. But he said to me, he says, Dad, I was watching that, he says, and when he's going by and showing all this stuff, he said, I wanted him to stop there and see what was going on there, and he stopped there. Apparently, we all hams are stupid or smart. I don't know which way to go, but he did it.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, maybe you could put your helmet cam on and go on mobile to the flea market out there. Well,
you know, anyway, it requires so much gear now to to put this video out. And when we used to use the helmet cam, it was so blurry because you're moving your head so fast and everything was out of focus and you didn't know what you're aiming at. And so, you know, our mobile cart now is best. We can roll that mobile cart around. I've got, it's got nice air tires on it, and we can roll the entire video deal around, and we've got a link that goes back to our booth, and it'll pretty much do all the inside buildings. Now, I don't think we'd have connectivity outside. I could probably work with them and put me something up on that roof where I could have connectivity out in the flea market, but there's just not enough hours in a day to do it. But I imagine we're going to roll around probably mostly on Sunday. I probably will want to be in a booth Friday and Saturday while Doug is there, instead of leaving him there in the booth, and because he's going to be a big part of the show. But we'll roll around some on Thursday during setup. We talk to a lot of people on Thursday and show their products, and then we'll get by on probably roll around some on Sunday. Yeah, I just need to make it a pay-per-view, you know. Everybody that comes in just charge them $1 for the whole weekend.
Is there other people sharing your bandwidth too, then?
No, it's just us.
Oh, so you get your own bandwidth, period, and that's what you've got.
Yeah, what was that, Doc?
I said Ham Nation usually does a broadcast from there, and they've used the Exceed, but I guess they're not going to do that this year, or they're going to make some.
Well, they sent me and Bob Heil a note, said they can't make it. Yeah, you know, I was talking to Bob one day, and Bob was showing me he had this Exceed up at his house in Missouri, and I said, Bob, you don't understand what you've got there. I said, we can take that dish to Dayton. We can have internet at Dayton, Bob. And he goes, well, yeah, I hadn't really thought about it, but yeah, I'll talk to him. So Bob and I talked to Exceed and got him to come up there and do that. And of course, Bob only uses it for a couple hours, I think, total during the whole, you know, for the whole time. But it got where they put in a separate dish for us and a separate dish for Bob. And then ICOM jumped on it a couple years ago. They saw what we're doing, and they started having Exceed put one in for them. And I'm sure they're going to do something again this year because Aaron was on one of the Facebook groups saying that Exceed wasn't going to make it, and does anybody have any ideas on a satellite vendor? Well, what we're going to end up doing is putting in a cable modem with Time Warner, a 50 meg circuit, and I think they're going to give us 5 up. And like I say, for the 3 or 4 days, they'll have it in Thursday for the 4 days. It's going to probably be about $600 for the internet.
That's 4 days, though, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's not extremely bad, I guess, but.
Well, it's bad when it comes out of my pocket.
Well, yeah.
You know.
Hey, well, I was going to ask you too. Why don't you get some advertisers on here and?
Well, you know, we've got a few little things going, not much. ICOM is probably going to help us out a little bit, but it won't even cover a third of the show. And to give you an example, our hotel. See, we're up there 5 nights. We're up there. Let's see, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we're up there 4 nights. And I can't do the show by myself, so I always pay for a second room for Freddie and Tommy, for my helper. So I'm paying for 8 nights for the hotel. Plus, I was able to get a room there for my astronaut friend. I doubt NASA's going to come back. I haven't heard from them. I doubt they're going to pay for it. They're probably going to expect me to pay for it. So I'm going to be out 9 nights at almost $200 just on the room. So you take that and $600 for internet, and I don't know what, a couple hundred for gas.
Maybe Doc can pay for it. I mean, he's making all kinds of money. He can help out a little, can't he?
Well, I'm just going to get Doc to work the booth while I'm up here, and I'm gonna walk around and look around. But yeah, I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm just being retired now. I'm just starting to think that I'm spending a lot of money, on this show, and it's all getting a ham radio message out to people, and and see, I get a lot of prizes. I get a lot of people. I work really hard to get a lot of people to donate prizes. We'll have about 40 prizes to give out to viewers. A lot of these prizes are $200, $300, $450 prizes. And I'll give all those prizes out, but these companies that donate me a $450 prize to advertise their name on a show, I don't get the $450 because I give that prize to a winner. See?
Yeah, put your donation jar out there. You'd probably be surprised how many people will feed that thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we might do something like that, but I've been thinking very much about taking one of the premier prizes and saying, okay, guys, 39 of the prizes are free for anybody. You don't have to donate nothing, but if you're interested in this one nice antenna analyzer, for every $10 you donate, we'll put your name in the hat. For every $10, you put $30 in, we'll put your name in the hat 3 times. Heck, if there's only 10 donations, the odds are going to be real close, and somebody's going to win that thing.
Yep. That's not a bad idea. I think I would kind of run with that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and like Mike in the chat room saying, on Thursday and Friday, it is crowded in there, and it's a little difficult for us to roll around, the two of us to roll around this mobile video cart and talk and interview people. And most of the vendors are busy. They can't talk to you then anyway, and the hallways are so crowded it's hard to roll through. So Sunday would be a good day to roll around. Thursday would be a good day to roll around.
But it would give a good feel for those people who haven't been to Dayton before about what the ambiance is like. Yeah,
and we may try. We'll probably try, at some point to make a trip through there. Maybe, a shorter trip or something.
Well, I did see you try to get with MFJ guy, and it was probably 5 minutes before, because he was talking to a customer, and I can see how that.
That was in Jackson. I sold an antenna tuner for those guys.
You get a percentage from it?
Is that what?
Get a percentage from it?
No. Those guys, my friends are MFJ. But anyway, this customer, I was trying to want to talk with Richard there at MFJ, and this customer kept talking. He kept talking, and I'm standing there, and it's starting to get boring. I've been standing here like 20 minutes, and he keeps talking and I'm standing right next to Richard with his microphone. He knows I'm trying to talk to him, but he keeps talking. So then I jump into conversation, and I finally convince him what he needs to buy.
Well, yeah, I saw that guy stand there and talking, and he'd look over at you a couple times, and the guy that he was talking with, and I thought, well, he probably said, well, you need to talk with this person. No, he didn't. He just kept going. I thought, okay, how nice is that? But I guess that's one of those lists that wasn't even on ham radio yet.
Oh, yeah. Kurt, WA2JSG says it really gets crowded indoors at Dayton if it rains. And he's right. You take
that's for sure.
You take the 10,000 people outside, they're going to come in out of that rain, man. So it gets crowded in here.
And some of them have never found deodorant.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I was there one day when it rained. I found myself in the main arena, way up in a bleacher somewhere, out of the way.
That's exactly right, man. Oh, it's some pretty bad stuff here. That's probably worse. That's probably worse than the facility, than the old facility. Putting up with that. They ought to have some kind of odor detector to doors, like a metal detector, where when you walk through, it goes beep. I might build one of those. We'll have somebody with a little remote control button. If you like somebody, let them through. If you don't like them, you go beep. and the light
Hey,
flashes.
Group, I'm going to get this is Russ. I'm going to get out of here. I've got to hit for bed. But,
All right.
Nice seeing you guys. You know, I watch the show all the time. See the same guys on there all the time. That's great too. And I'm going to try one of Doc's cigars, I think, one of these times.
All right.
We'll see what happens from there. But thanks for having me on tonight, and I love all you guys.
Okay, Russ. Thanks. We'll see you, man. Bye.
You bet, Tom. Thanks.
All right, if anybody wants to call in, the phone line's open, 901-286-1116. And there we go. Mike says, what do you mean if it rains? It's just a question of when and how. You're right. I tell you what, Doc, you may be like me. I've been up here 35 years. Let me tell you, I can only remember 3 of those 35 that it didn't rain.
Yeah, one year it rained. Another year it was like 90 degrees. And that was,
It's rained, it's sleeted, it's snowed, it's fogged.
All in the same weekend. Yeah, all in the same weekend.
You've named. I think it hailed out there one time, you know, and I think we've had every kind of weather except maybe a tornado.
Oh, yeah, well, they've even had some of those nearby there too. Oh man, I've been to some terrible weather out there. I mean, I've been out there where lightning is hitting the ground, and I tell you, I've seen clouds so low they're dragging through the trees, man.
It's better. It's better though than it was when they had it in April.
Well, in April you really froze yourself to death. You could still freeze yourself to death now in May there, but in April it was wintertime, man. I mean,
I can hear my wife in the other room. The local TV station's on. They're giving the weather report. They're talking. We got snow the other day, about 10, 12 inches, and they're talking about some more coming in tomorrow. I can hear my wife in the other room going, "Oh no!" I realize she's talking to the TV weatherman.
Yeah, it's supposed to be down to the 30s here tonight, I think.
No, I'm already at 30.
All right, now I've noticed Mike VE3MIC is always in here. He's chatting with us right now. Mike, if you got a telephone, here's the challenge. Call this number, Mike. 901-286-1116. Mike, VE3MIC. Call in a station. We'd love to have you on here. We're coming to you from Studio 6 tonight.
We're all waiting.
We're waiting.
Tom, have you looked at that new ICOM rig that they're...
The 7300?
Yeah, I guess that's
the
new one.
No, I have not looked at it.
It looks like a sweet little rig. I don't need another rig, but I'd be tempted to buy one anyway.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
play with it.
I got a lot of radios. Kathy thinks every time I get a radio I should get rid of one, but I just can't do that yet. I almost got me a Flex here after the Flex interview the other night. I found me a Flex 3000 on there for $800. I called the guy, but he'd already sold it.
Yeah, I wouldn't want my radio to have to be tied to a computer. I'd have trouble with working it from the car here. So
Yeah. Well, let's see. We got a phone ring. Let's see who this might be. Hello, mystery telephone caller. Who we got on the line?
You have Mike, the E3MIC, Tom.
Hey, Mike. I'm glad you called in. Guys,
I accept your challenge.
We have Mike on here, guys. Let's give him a big hand. Everybody, there we go.
Mike lives in every chat room that I'm on.
Yeah.
Well, you know, winter is about 6 months up here in Canada.
I was going to say, Mike must not have a life
Not much else
because
to do,
you're
right?
right. I see him in all the different chat rooms and stuff. Mike's always somewhere.
Well, if I cross
I heard,
across our little Lake
I
Superior
heard
while
one
I'm on the
of
southern shore, we'll be in
sorry,
Canada.
I heard one of the fellows
Other side.
in the hangout there mention snow. We had a dumping of snow on I guess it was Monday evening, and we're supposed to get more tonight as well.
Yeah, I
but
know that Canadian, they keep dumping it us on
Yeah.
UP.
you guys are up in Canada, so, you know, you need to expect it up here, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I saw an article in a magazine saying that even us Canadians, we've turned into winter wusses because of we're complaining about weather that is nothing compared to what we used to get 20 years ago.
I tell you, we get some pretty rough snows down here in Memphis. At least once a year, we get anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch.
Paralyzed.
That's right, man. And we are paralyzed in there. Let me tell you, I don't know if it's like this up there, but if we're going to have a 1/4 inch of snow, you better go to the grocery store right now and get all your bread and milk. And because if you don't get there in the next couple hours, every shelf will be empty.
Yeah, I got a picture here that was on Facebook. Yeah, a squirrel buried in the snow with his head just hanging out. It says, "Winter sucks. It's going to take until July to thaw out my nuts."
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I didn't get a chance to find out, Tom, are you all set for Dayton this year?
Oh, you know, we're moving right along with plans. We've got about 40 prize donors in already. We're building the prize page. We haven't published it yet, but we got a lot of them on there. So we got the prizes coming off. I got my astronaut friends going to co-host with us Friday and Saturday. We got the internet being put in. So yeah, it's a go. You know, unless something happens, I don't know what might stop us, but. Are you gonna make it, Mike? Are you gonna be there?
I'm trying. I'm sitting at about a 75% go at this point. So I'm pretty much a go, but not 100% yet.
Well, be sure and come by and.
Definitely. I'll drop by, and I'm just curious, Tom. Dayton. Hamvention 2016. What number is this for you this year?
It's around 35, I think, consecutive since we've started. We haven't missed one. Been very lucky, and about 34, 35.
Wow. Yeah, like last year was the first time I had been back to Dayton in probably 20 years. I kind of had a little bit of a dry spell, and I hadn't been back to Dayton for, I think it was like 24 years or something.
Well, I tell you that 20 years ago, that was the good old days. That's when it really had some people there. We used to.
I still remember, the symposiums with Wayne Green, and he was always a popular one, and they used to have the Dayton Power and Light there doing a demonstration, with high voltage tension lines and so forth, and that was always a showstopper.
Yeah, back then, we used to complain that there were so many people out there. Well, you get out there, back then, every single flea market space outside was sold, and you had to be on a waiting list. Nowadays, probably 20-25% are going to be empty when you go, but there's still a lot. But every flea market space was full. Every flea market space was full.
I remember the flea market being bigger back then.
Well, yeah, it was bigger too. And every space was full, and there were so many people out there in these aisles. There were so many people. They were elbow to elbow. You couldn't even walk. You couldn't get up to a person's spot to even see what they had, and we would complain about that. And then I can remember 5, 6, 7 years ago when we were out in a flea market with our camera, almost nobody's walking by. I could take a handful of rocks and throw them down the aisle and not hit anybody, and my camera was aimed across back there, and it had the golf course in the view. And people are wondering, are you sure you're at Hamfest? I mean, I see a golf course. There's where are the people? That's just how bad it was. So we finally moved to a little bit better spot there. And then we decided, especially because of the weather, we decided let's just go inside. And I think it was a really good move for us. We've got good electricity now. We've got good internet. We've got a nice booth. They take good care of us. The ceiling hadn't fallen in on us yet. It was really a good move to move in inside.
That's a good
yeah,
location.
I remember seeing footage from some of your previous years there, and I remember one in particular where you were outside, and I think it pretty much wiped out your whole. You had a canopy set up, and I think you lost your canopy that year, and everything was just soaking wet. But I wanted to ask you about the flea market, because I had thought about that too, and why the flea market isn't as big as it used to be in past years. And then I got to thinking about it, and it's like, do you think it's because of either there's just not enough or as much surplus stuff available anymore, or do you think maybe eBay has a big impact on that?
Well, I don't know, but we have a joke that we would talk about. We'd go out in the flea market and say, "Hey, that's the same stuff that was out here 15 years ago." It just seems to get recycled out here. But I don't know. I mean, let me tell you, it's so easy now. But I mean, we didn't have the internet back in. But if I got a little project here and I need a, 7.3 meg ceramic filter or anything, I just order it from China and I have it here in a couple weeks, and free shipping, and it's cheap, and it's just so easy. I used to buy all this junk so I could tear it up and get parts out of it. I'm a home brewer from many years ago, but again, I have not spent much time looking around out there because the webcast has taken so much of our time now. And I don't know if there are more, I'll call them appliance type people. A lot of people may come. The inside, it seems pretty crowded when the outside didn't have many people. And it may be, there's a lot of people interested in new radio. Have you seen a new ICOM this? Have you seen a new Yazoo this? Or,
Well, it's what you said earlier,
yeah.
Tom. I think maybe some people are, just want to hang on to their rigs, and maybe there's not as much of a turnover.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of people that just want to go in there and see the new vendors and what's coming up, and I want to buy something new, and they're not interested in the junk where I was interested in,
Well, I think the hobby's become so high tech now. I mean, everybody wants all the fancy bells and whistles. That's for sure.
I think
Dayton years ago with a big shopping list, and the reason you did that is because obviously you didn't have the internet was just coming around, and you didn't have eBay, and you've probably heard this saying before: if you can't find it at Dayton, it doesn't exist, or you can't find it anywhere, because it was true.
Well, not anymore.
Only Dayton you could find certain things at.
Yeah.
So.
But I think you're right about that. That first of all, just the technology evolving has probably changed it, because now you can buy a dual band handy-talkie, all surface mount components and stuff, inside. A dual band handy-talkie for $25 new, a Bofang from China. You can actually find them at that price.
Tom.
What?
$25 is too expensive, man. You can get it for $20.
Okay, for $20. See, back 20 years ago, when we would go out there and there's so many people out there, I mean, we were using converted taxi cab tube radios for 2 meters and stuff like that, and these old Motorola brick radios that you could get 2 channels in. They were about the size of a brick.
Vibrator power supply.
Yeah, and we would build stuff, but now you can't build that stuff. You can't build this stuff like the Chinese are building now, this surface mount stuff, and I mean, you just can't build anymore, and why would you even want to build it if you can buy it for $20? And,
but Tom, here's the other disadvantage. You can't find the components to build this stuff either.
Yeah.
There's no more Radio Shack. There's one little store in Dallas, for example. Radio Shack only sells phones and TVs or whatever they sell. They don't sell any components anymore. Actually, they gone bankrupt. Sprint is not have no bottom.
Yeah.
There's a store called Fries, and there's micro somebody, but they don't sell components. You might find a couple of cheap capacitors, maybe some basic resistors. You won't find transistors.
Yeah, I heard people say they went in a Radio Shack and asked for a PL259, and they didn't even know what it was.
Yeah, our Radio Shack here in Marquette is shut down almost 2 years ago. They just shut it down and gone, so we don't even have that option.
Yeah. Well, I'm still home brewing stuff, but I'm brewing more solid state stuff now, and it's easy to get those parts, and I'm interfacing stuff like Arduino in there and the Arduino DDS and different things like that. So, I don't know. I don't know that the no code license has affected people. That's probably not the reason there's less interest in the outside, but I think it's just the technology has changed. You can't build this stuff anymore. And hey, if you want to get on 2 meters now, you got to buy a $20 radio. You're sure not going to build a 5-tube crystal radio, with a power supply and all that stuff. I mean, first of all, you'd probably never make it work right, and it would sound horrible, and it'd only be one channel, and it wouldn't be portable. So why don't you just buy a $20?
Having to purchase crystals to put in my HT years ago.
Yeah.
I had to be stuck to those 5 or 6 crystals I can stick in a radio.
Yeah, but that's not the only thing, Tom. Because, for example, I've noticed that people don't make antennas anymore. They rather buy an antenna, rather go on eBay or go to HRO or somewhere and buy an antenna when they can just make an antenna like you did.
Yeah, that's true.
That
antenna I showed tonight, that Delta Loop, you can build it for $2 or whatever. Anyway, they that antenna, there's companies that sell it. That particular 30 meter, you pay $59.95 for it, and then you pay $12 shipping or something, and you're up to $75 for it when it's nothing in it. I think people still should try to build their antennas now instead of just going out and buying an antenna.
Yeah, I built enough of my last 80 meter dipole a couple months ago. I cheated and just bought a radio wave double bazooka already made.
Yeah. Well, and you're up there in the snow and stuff too. I think you put it up in the snow, didn't you?
Well, yeah, it works better.
Yeah.
When it's cold and snow, ask Mike in Canada. That's the way it works.
Well, the best time to put up an antenna when it's 20 below out.
Oh man. Well, I put my Delta Loop up just last week, right before the storm hit. So I was trying to hurry.
Oh, what did it get down to 60 degrees?
Well, the heat here, it was probably 70 degrees here, actually. I wasn't worried about the heat. I was worried about it was going to be raining for 2 or 3 days, and if I'm going to talk to Hurt Island, it looks like to me my best chance is on 30 meters.
I can't believe you've never been on 30 meters.
Never. I didn't even have an antenna for 30. That's the reason I went out there and threw that thing up there.
It's not a bad band if you like data. Or CW.
Yeah. Yep.
A lot of
it's
times
usually pretty quiet.
It's the only band that you can get day and night. It's kind of like 40 meters in a way, because you can get, usually the maximum usable frequency doesn't get much.
Yeah, and that's the reason I thought it was probably the best band. It's up there, it's high enough that you're going to get some distance out of it, and the maximum usable frequency is probably just above that. And I'm thinking there's no way I'm going to hear them on 80 meters, and especially not on 160.
Biggest limitation is the 200 watt limit.
Yeah.
Well, listen, fellas, I'm going to jump out of here. Thanks for the chat.
Well, you're welcome.
We'll look for you again next week, Tom.
Yeah, I'm glad you called. I'm not sure who we're going to have on the show next week. I think I may get my buddy, the pirate radio guy that put the pirate radio stations on in New York, who actually owns the station we're on tonight. So.
I think that was one of your most controversial episodes.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember the comments that were going off in the chat room, but people put some really a couple people really put some bad comments on QRZ where I had listed it, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm not promoting pirate. If you listen to the show, it shows you this guy. He did it, his experiences. He says he doesn't recommend anybody doing it. And he's now legal. He owns licensed radio stations.
So there's going to be some controversy there.
Hamster
No,
never
I mean,
short
it
on
was
opinions.
more or less a documentary.
Yeah.
It happened, and it happened how many years ago?
Yeah.
30 years ago?
Yeah. But the guy is very knowledgeable. He is a radio engineer, and he knows his stuff, and he's got a big collection of stuff. And hey, I think he'd be a good guest again. So we're probably gonna do that. Now the only other thing is, I'm thinking for a bigger pool, we might put a paranormal show on or something one night.
There's a fellow. He's originally from the I think Colorado, but he's in Israel now, and he runs an audio podcast, Eric, and I can't remember his call, but
I think I know.
He actually interviewed Art Bell.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about. I've talked to him before about being on his show. We just haven't got together and done it. But
on the South Cars, the Echo South Cars Echo thing on the weekends he's been on.
I don't know, but our Bill's a controversial guy too, and but I've seen these shows on TV. All I got to do is get my antenna analyzer over here and turn the knobs and make the meters move a little bit and say, oh, there's a ghost right there, and
You're not nice, Tom.
The what?
That's not nice.
Well, I can do that.
What's that right behind you?
Yeah.
That's what? I'm not afraid of ghosts, bro.
Yeah, I could probably superimpose. I could probably make transparent and superimpose an image over another one, and let it walk by, and I think we could have a good. I think we could have a good show. I think I think we would have hundreds, if not thousands, of people to start. Maybe
instead of your bottle that you spin around there, you could have a spider or something.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta get my bottle. I didn't do my bottle tonight, man. Let me get my bottle here. Oh, you're not gonna see it. You're not seeing it because I don't have it. I don't have the camera set for you guys. Let me put my bottle on. There we go. All right. So you guys not seeing it, are you? No, you guys aren't seeing it. I don't have the right camera feedback to you guys on Hangout, so you're not seeing what I've got here.
Yeah, we seen the bottle. Don't frighten. We seen it.
Yeah. So
it's a water bottle. It's not even a Bud Light bottle.
Yeah. So I need my helper to help me, with the prop and everything to do it. Well, the string's a little showing. I'm gonna have to paint the string. I don't know. Anyway, so I forgot to do the bottle tonight. I'll throw it out the air hatch right here. All right. Well, Mike, I think you said you're leaving. So 73. Thanks for calling.
Yes, sir.
I probably need.
Thanks for having me, and we'll look for you next week, Tom.
Tom said there's thousands of people that watch us the next day.
How what, Mike?
I told Mike he's got to come on the video with us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Tom said there's several thousand people watch the YouTube the next day. So.
Yeah, there will be. I think the last two shows we had, I think we had somewhere around 1,200 or 1,400 that watched it the next day.
Oh my goodness, I better behave.
Yeah. So I don't know about tonight, but I'm sure to be hundreds, if not 1,000, probably. All right, we're going to turn this thing off in just a minute. If anybody wants to make their last call in, 901-286-1116.
I'll bet you picked up some new viewers as a result of your Herd Island stuff.
Well, I'm hoping so. We had the statistics show last week. We had about 750 unique hams come into the show. They weren't all there at one time. I think about we had maybe 250 in a room most of the time, but on the video. But the stat showed about 750 different hams came in and left during the show. I guess we couldn't keep them all interested to stay on. Well, it's getting a little late here, so I'm going to go ahead and get off here, and we'll look at the video here and get it on our channel, and see how it goes.
Almost midnight here. Yeah, I suppose no wonder I'm ready to call it.
Yeah, it's getting late. Let's see, 8:30, 10:30.
I'm out of here. Good night, guys.
All right. Hey, we'll see you, Doc. We'll see everybody. 73, everybody. We're gone.
Oh, yeah. Good night. Take care. 73.
All right.
Yeah, 73 is up.
All right, guys, we're going to turn it off. 73 to everybody. Talk to you later. Goodbye. All that to everybody. And we'll see you next week. Not sure who we're going to have next week yet, but we'll have somebody. 73. We'll end it with this.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.